Oh, yes. I don't know how to feel because this is the last of the sessions for the year. We've had an amazing time with 22 authors over a period of 22 days. It's been an amazing experience, amazing time. And today we have, as they say, the last but not the least, because we will still be having conversations when we get into 2023. So, but today I am wrapping this summit and this conclave with a special man. We used to say that when we have people who are special, we can look for trouble and they will save us. So I am here with a special man that if I am going on the road and I look for trouble, I have absolutely no fear that if I call him, things will happen. Okay, guys. So today we have an amazing man. He's going to be introducing himself. This is the first time in my entire life that I'm
Mm.
having a conversation with a military officer. There's a way we look at military officers. I used to have one here in the city of Port Harcourt, but he has left. One question that I didn't ask him was, how did you feel killing someone for the first time with a gun? I didn't get to ask him that question until he left. The only question I asked him that time was about falling in love, because I used to be look at military officer like these guys. Are
Can you
they
fall in love?
beings at all? Those kind of things. All the packaging, all the bravado and all that. Like,
Mhm.
are they human beings? And the day I asked him that question, he laughed and laughed and laughed. I said, of course, we are human beings. We fall in love
Yeah,
and all that.
absolutely.
So it's good to have you here, Sarah. It's good to have you here. We have Madu Ibrahim with us,
Thank
and
you.
he's going to be having this conversation and sharing with us bits and pieces of his life, his journey, his authoring life, and how he's building wealth from himself and authority by authoring books. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm happy to
Okay.
be here.
Thank
And
you.
for the amazing work you have done throughout the month. I have watched every series closely, and in fact, we can't thank you. It's a privilege for me to have you hosting me, so to speak. And just that if you're going to go and look for trouble, don't go and look for the trouble that they'll carry two of us and they go and lock us somewhere.
Okay, sir. Thank you so
Yes.
much for being here with me, and let's step into it. So share with us your life. Why did you even decide to go into the military? I mean, somebody decides to say, "Okay, I'm going to get into the military." Share with us your upbringing, childhood, up until this
Mhm.
moment, what you are doing, and we will, segue on that to have other questions coming in. Well, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so as you have introduced me, I am Madu. I like to introduce myself that way first. And I am from Borno State. I know that my name, Madu Ibrahim, a lot of people say it sounds like a name from the East, and my looks, and as the case may be. I attended Alau Private School in Maiduguri, did my primary education, then had my secondary education in Air Force Military School. I think that was my first close experience with the military, going to the secondary school. First, what motivated me to go to the secondary school then was I had an aunt who got married to an Air Force officer, and my elder brother happened to be the page boy. So he was dressed in all the ceremonial dress and everything, and that got my attention at a tender age. I can't remember the year or how old I was, but then we were quite young. So that inspired me. Then, while in primary school, I also had a cousin who is late now, was in Air Force military school. And anytime he comes home in his camouflage and everything, it inspired me and all that. So when I finished from secondary school, having written so many common entrance to various secondary schools, I keyed into Air Force Military School to begin, so to speak, what contributed in defining what I am today. And I come from a family of where I have a younger brother, but I grew up with my uncle, so who also had 5 children. So I can rightfully say I grew up in the midst of six siblings with me, seven. So growing up, it was an interesting journey, so to speak, in the sense that um, it was adventurous. Yes, it was adventurous to a large extent. For those people that know Maiduguri will know how peaceful Maiduguri used to be in those days. And today, when I travel to places like Ilorin or when I go to Enugu, I was in Enugu in 2014. So it gives you that perception or that understanding of how Maiduguri used to be. Standard of living was low. It was where there were no much distractions as at then. So growing up was kind of quiet, yes. Then from there, in the whole kids, the seven of us, I was the only one who went to a military school. Now, my other siblings, majority of them attended a federal government college in Bauchi State. So going into Air Force military school or going to a military school, the only child having to go to that school, I think it made me to be independent at an early stage. And by this, I mean when everyone is going to school, maybe for two, three of them, having other family friends, having like relatives or cousins also going to the same school, it was more or less like they always had my siblings always had each other's back. They were always in school together. They had mutual friends and a lot of things like in that aspect. For me, I went to Air Force Military School. I was alone, even though I had a few of my primary school mates who also wrote Air Force Military School exams and were there with them. I think we're about two or three of us that came from Borno State. We knew each other. But that wasn't the only challenge of being separated from your siblings. It also happened that most of the times our calendars, the military school and then the federal government colleges, there was always this disparity of maybe 1 week or a day to and everything. One particular thing I can clearly bring out is like my siblings always had midterm break where they went home during the term to spend like a week or a few days at home and come back. I never experienced that growing up, both in my primary school, both in my secondary school. I never knew. I don't know how it feels to, have a pause in during a school session and then go home and all that. And then being in a military school, we had seniors. It was more or less like a regimented lifestyle at a young age. You have to develop survival instincts. So as young as I was, I had to develop those instincts to survive. I was far away from home. I was in Jaws, even though, yes, I had an uncle, I had a few relatives, but coming from a civilian background, so as to speak, as in my parents being civilians, they respected whatever the military said. Where maybe some other people had their parents coming to like, oh, let's still check on him, let's do this. In mine, it was like, this is what the law says, this is what the directive giving. No, you shouldn't go to school with provisions. No, you shouldn't be giving pocket money. No, you shouldn't be giving this and that. That was how I lived. So at that stage, for me, it made me develop a sense of independence at an early stage. Then one other thing it did to me was while my other siblings had mutual friends, while whenever we are opportune to be together at home, when they had maybe like topic of discussion in common, they knew as in had a lot of things to share. For me, it was like I was like the kind of the independent one, the lost, or maybe I don't know, for the lack of better word to use, like the black sheep kind of, you're away. You don't really flow with them. You don't really seem to understand all these things and everything. So, but be it as it may, that was how I got through to Air Force Military School. But then I developed an independent lifestyle. I had to make my classmates, my secondary school mates to become my friends, some of whom I am still friends with up till now. In fact, even some of them from Air Force Military School went to Nigerian Defense Academy. Today we are officers. Some of them are in the Army. Some of them are in the Air Force. Some are in the Navy with me. And then the bond has just grown from one strength to another, from a level of strength to another. And it's really, really amazing. Then when it comes to the issue of my reading habit, growing up, my dad, then whenever he comes from work, he normally buys Punch newspaper. I don't know if Emeka, if you can recall Punch newspaper, they used to have a middle page where they have a lot of cartoons, they have odd world stories, and some kind of interesting stories. Then anytime my dad comes back from work, everybody rushes for the newspaper just to flip through what the news was saying as at then, even though we didn't really comprehend or understood everything in its entirety. But what got us glued to newspapers was the center page, all those cartoons, all those odd world, all those puzzles, crossword, as the case may be. So that was where my reading habit started from. Then writing common entrance, I remember buying all those past compendiums, past question papers, and the rest. One will come back from school, you sit down, you have to go through them a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot, just to make sure that in your common entrance you have the good scores. Because in those days the story is, oh, once you don't have the cutoff mark, you're not going to go for the interview, and then to be a failure was not an option, and there was no option of anybody helping you or anything at all. So that helped me to kind of pick up reading habit at an early age. Then going into Air Force military school, being independent, away from home. One thing that happened to me was that sometimes some things that happen in school, I may not be able to come back home and say it in a way that they will comprehend, or maybe I'll get the encouragement that I ought to. So, the survival skill led to me being, you have to look for a way, like to ease out the pressure, to bring out things and all. Then while in secondary school, I picked up the habit of writing journals. I keep journals, I keep diary, I keep writing about my own experiences. I discovered that I could express myself easily through writing. Like one incident that occurred was, I remember when, in primary school, sometimes your mom would call, while in primary school, my mom would come, give us a task to do one or two things. You want to prove stubborn and everything. And I think I captured this story in my book also. I went to secondary school, JSS1, a JSS2 boy called me, gave me his clothes to wash and everything. The next thing I did was to pick up a letter, and I apologized, all the apology I could give to my mom, apologizing for not washing and giving and doing all the tasks I was asked to do. But here I was doing it under duress. I was being insulted, I was being beaten, as the case may be, and everything. So being independent or being separate from other kids, yes, it had its own disadvantages, but it also had its own advantages, in the sense that it built me up to who I am today by the grace of God. And then from Air Force Military School, I graduated in the year 2000. Then after graduating in the year 2000, I wrote the NDA exams then in 2000. Then I wasn't successful. That was the first attempt. And then I gained admission into University of Maiduguri to kind of start and everything. And what happened was, when I went to University of Maiduguri, having lived a regimented life for 6 years away from home, where 6 o'clock you are here, 7 o'clock you're here, 8 o'clock you're here, time for lunch was this time for dinner was this, and all those things. I went to University of Maiduguri, and for me, immediately I got to the university environment, I felt, nah, this can't be me. Even though I had written ND exams the first attempt, I didn't pass. I was like, well, I will try a second time. If I pass, then I will proceed into Nigerian Defense Academy. If I do not pass, then, well, maybe that's how God wanted it to be. Then I'll continue the university. But first of all, I was not motivated at all in the university environment, because I discovered that your lectures, nobody was reminding you about your lectures, nobody was pushing you to go for your lectures. Time for registration, you almost have to sit and wait for the lecturer. Some lecturers come maybe perhaps 10 o'clock, maybe they were in a meeting, they will come around 10 o'clock, perhaps they will sign one or two their registration. That was in those days. I don't know if it is the same thing that happens these days in the university. Then maybe the lecturer around 1 o'clock, he has another meeting, he goes and everything. And for me, what really got to me, I remember clearly, was that a lecturer comes, he doesn't sign your document or something, and then I can't even report him to anybody. I can't even go and be like, oh, sir, let this man register it, or let him delegate somebody to do it for him. So it was like a helpless situation for me. Then to go for lectures, sometimes throughout the semester, there won't be lecture. Then it will be like 3 weeks or 4 weeks to exams, lectures, and a lot of things were just going on that sincerely in my own head, I never understood. I didn't understand. And also one thing that happened then, coming from a military school, because the military school obviously was a single school. I remember in the university, whenever I get to university, I think I was so shy that I couldn't even eat outside in the restaurant or anything. So any day I get into school, I finish what I'm doing. Immediately immediately I get hungry, I'm back home. So I didn't stay on the campus. I was staying at home. I was coming from home. So it was a kind of a roller coaster for me. The 1 year was like, for me, to like an experiment and everything. I didn't really comprehend. I didn't really understand. It was strange. A lot of things were strange for me. Well, I kept on writing. That was one thing I kept doing. I go to school, do what I was supposed to do, get back, do a lot of writing, reading. I was reading, also not just writing, but I was reading lots and lots and lots of books. I was reading biographies, I was reading stories, I was reading not motivational books, but kind of just self-development books, stories of people, stories of a lot of people. I still have those books till today. Then gained admission into the Nigerian Defense Academy. Going into Nigerian Defense Academy, in the Nigerian Defense Academy, you're being paid monthly stipends every month. From the day I got into Nigeria, well, not from the day, but like I think after my first year or thereabout, I also developed a habit of, for every money I was paid every month, I bought one book. Every allowance I received, I bought a book from that allowance. And sometimes from pocket money, I could buy 2-3 books, as the case may be, and everything. So back also in NDA, in Air Force Military School, yes, I know I passed out. I was like the head housemaster or house captain. House captain, that we call it junior NCU then of Yellow Squadron. I think they call it Puma Squadron now, as the case may be. So I was like among the prefects in secondary school. For me, the life was kind of loud. So when I was coming into NDA, I made up my mind. I was like, no, I wasn't going to be this. I was going to just be myself, just kind of dwell more on me, dwell more on my own development, dwell more on, because sorry to take us back, when I gained admission from the university and when I was going into the NDA, there was a lot of fear from my friends, from my relatives. A lot of people felt, just like Emeka mentioned at the beginning of this interview, people were looking at the military like the military was kind of made up of zombies, so to speak. So people were like, oh, he's going into NDA, oh, he's going to change, oh, he's going to be this, oh, his lifestyle is going to be this and everything. So for me, from all the things I picked from people, I actually kind of held it very close in my mind. And when I went into NDA, I was like, no, I won't let maybe pressure or anything kind of change me. I will try as much as possible, God helping me, to stick to being who I am. And that is one message I still keep to people, even to my colleagues today. I mentioned to them and that was why also I made mention at the beginning of this interview, I introduced myself as Madu, because I always tell people that Madu is who I am. Commander Madu Ibrahim is what I am. So there's a difference between who I am and what I am. So you can't even give, you can't give what you don't have. So I kind of dwelled like on more on developing, kind of preserving who I was or who I am, as the case may be, at that point in time. So getting into NDA, I still stuck to my writing, my reading, my books, and I was privileged to have some of the seniors while in secondary school, in Air Force Military School, who are now in the Nigerian Defense Academy. They were already senior cadets whom I kind of served them, if I may use that word, or I was like their boy. I was, the responsibilities of a boy in a school, how it is as it applies to all secondary schools. So I got into NDA, they saw me based on my antecedents, they knew me, brought me close, provided the guidance I needed and everything. And I think that helped me up until when I passed out, even up until today. We still have those relationships. I still look up to them. I still ask them questions. I still make inquiries from them. And then coming into Nigerian Navy. I was commissioned as a sub-lieutenant in 2007. Now, one other aspect, the issue of independence from secondary school continued even in Nigerian Defense Academy. So in Nigerian Defense Academy, it was more or less, I was on my own, because right from childhood, there was this independence that, or this demarcation that was created between myself and my siblings. Yes, we see it, we gist, but even in ND, when I get back home, when they're talking about things, when they're discussing issues, now from being in the same secondary school, they got into the same, they were all in University of Maiduguri. I was now further away in Kaduna in Nigerian Defense Academy. So it was more or less, yes, a demarcation, nature kind of fate created it, but not that we're not, where I come from a very closely knit family. We're still friends, we still talk, and as the case may be, but just that sometimes when discussions or happenings, or where my brother and my sister are discussing things where they know the background, when I am there, you have to start explaining the background, what brought about these, and all those things. Well, it makes the gist to be more interesting anyway. So NDA, I continued being independent, became a sub-lieutenant far away. I was posted in Port Harcourt. I still have my journals. And yesterday I was actually clearing my bookshelf and I realized I have about 10 or 15 journals. And I was also speaking to someone and I was like, wow, it's actually good to write because you never can tell when you will need them. Some of the journals I actually forgot, some of the diaries, some of the books I saw, I had written a lot of things where yesterday, when I looked at them, I discovered how important they were, even though as at then, when I was writing them, perhaps I was just writing them just as a hobby or just kind of to pour myself out to the world. I never knew I was going to write a book. I was not writing because I was going to write a book. I was just writing as a lifestyle, as a hobby, as a passion for me. So became a sub-lieutenant. I continued being independent. I became so independent to the extent that there was a time my dad was, when he was alive, he almost called my elder brother. He was like, please just get ready, go and check this guy wherever he is, so that let us know whether all is well with him. It's not, being independent is not something to be proud of, it's not something to be happy about, but I'm bringing it here because sometimes when we do things in life, we forget about this independence and the need for the need for communication. And sometimes, yes, in my own situation, it didn't turn out badly. It's something that it has helped me to be who I am today, kind of to be self-sustaining, kind of even when things are happening, it has made me to be the man I am, to tolerate a lot of things, to bottle a lot of things, not just to like run to mommy, run to daddy, need look for one thing or the other, as the case may be. So sub-lieutenant postings, a lot of places, lived on my own, faced my struggles on my own. Sometimes it's after some things I'm done with before I call home and I tell them this is the challenge I'm facing, or this is the challenge I faced. This, however, I overcame it, and sometimes they don't even get to know my postings, my things they never got to know at home. In fact, sometimes my dad will call me and be like, okay, where are you now? Are you in Lagos? Are you in Abuja? Are you in Port Harcourt? Where are you serving and all that, as the case may be. So, but beyond that, I wasn't just being independent because I was purposely locking people, but I was also always writing. I was, where I found myself, I was adding value to my own life. I was adding value to the people that were around me at that point in time. And I was also learning, because life is all about learning. Like, one thing I know is, even though the independence was created right from my secondary school, one thing that I can categorically say is that from the friends I made in secondary school, a lot of their parents, a lot of places we went to visit, even like in secondary school, I was able to pick up a lot of things from my friends, from their families. I was able to learn a lot of things. So I am grateful for all that my parents have done. I'm grateful for the experience I've had up until this time. And I think they did a really good job. And coming up to write a book, and I felt I have a story to tell. I believe we as individuals, everybody has a story to tell. Someone said the grave is the richest place or location in the world, because a lot of people go to sleep with their dreams. A lot of people go to sleep with their ambitions, as the case may be. But for me, after I joined the Nigerian Navy, I was privileged to serve as an ADC, an AD camp. I never thought about it. I never knew I was going to be one. I found myself there. I resumed the office. I realized there was no document to guide me. There was nothing to tell me, oh, this is your responsibility. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're not supposed to do. So I was like just living one day at a time, ensuring I was carrying out my responsibilities within the permissible law or regulations. And when I finished my tenure as a flag lieutenant in 2012, yes, 2012, and it was a burden I had on me, whereby I felt there should be a policy, there should be a guideline, there should be something guiding the younger ones that are coming behind. And I started writing my manuscript, I think in that 2012, I dropped it like in 2015. I dropped it. I just felt it wasn't right for me to publish, dropped it. Then I was away in India during, I was on a course, a 1-year course. Then during the COVID pandemic, I have a younger, like a mentee who was privileged to be posted as a flag lieutenant, as an aide de camp. And then he called me and I was like giving him my own advice, my suggestions, how he should carry himself, how he should take note of and understand his principle, as the case may be. Immediately I dropped the call, we stopped talking. I realized that, okay, this guy, I'm able to communicate with him because he has access to me. What about several other people who do not have access to me? What happens to them? Some people could resume that posting, they could be found wanting, it could affect their career, it could affect their job. Some people might not be efficient and a lot of things. Then I now remembered my manuscript, went back to my manuscript, picked it up. Now this is several years down the line. I have increased experience, knowledge, even about the Navy. I had to like rewrite the whole manuscript and then had it published. It was released on the 24th of October this year, and the feedback has been amazing. And then for me, above all, in publishing this book, actually, it's about the impact for me. When I was writing this book, I had discussion with Fola Warital, and what I told him was that if in writing my book, if I can have one person, just one person that can pick my book and have a rethink about changing his ways to become more professional, to become more efficient in the discharge of his duties, then I think my work is done. But so far, so good. The book has the feedback I have received. Sincerely, it has been amazing. It has been amazing. I have been encouraged and I have met a lot of people who have also been inspired to write books. And I tell them, yes, you need to write your book. You need to tell your story. We need to take ownership of our story. We need to look beyond just registering successes. It's not about, oh, yes, during my time I did this, during my time I did this. But people want to know the processes. People want to know the discipline. People want to know the struggles. People want to know how were you able to surmount those challenges and you were able to publish. People want to know, okay, are you writing just for the fame? Are you writing just for the money? Or are you just writing just for the impact? For me, it's about the impact. And I think when I look around us today in Nigeria, we can boldly say in the various professions that we have inadequate literature. Inadequate literature. Yes, we can talk about this. Oh, this organization was established in so and so year. The man was this man was the head when it was commissioned. This is the first black man was commissioned. But we need to understand the processes. We need to understand where we were. We need to understand where we are coming from. The future generation need to understand that, oh, this is what our predecessors, our founding fathers or our fathers passed through. We need to attach, I think, humanity to the story, because when we come out and we talk about story, oh, I was an aide de camp, oh, I worked with this man, I worked with this man, oh, I occupied this position, it was during my time I did this. Yes, it will sink, but I think it will sink more, and then it will impact people more when we share our stories, when we share our struggles. It's not about being perfect. I think, like John Maxwell said, if you want to impress people, share your successes. But if you want to impact people, then you have to share your failures, your challenges, whatever you pass through. So for me, growing up has it's been amazing. Coupled with at a younger age, I lost my dad. Then shortly after I gained my admission into NDA, I think about a month before I resumed, I lost my mom. Then I had a foster father, and on my dad's elder brother, my uncle, who took me in even before my mom passed away. He also passed away in 2021, last year. And then my foster mother also passed away. So for me, it's all about a life that I'm grateful for. It's a life I thank God for in everything that's happened. And one thing that I've realized in publishing my book is I've always heard this growing up. I've always heard this proverb, so to speak, that says what the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. I've actually, in publishing my book in my own life, I've actually come to realize that that statement is true. And not only that, I've also realized that the only obstacle between you and becoming great and between you and fulfilling your purpose or passion is actually you. It is you. It's not about just conceiving whatever the challenges, whatever thing that you think is making you difficult to achieve your aim. All you need to do is to push yourself. All you need to do is to push yourself. Yes, I'm a military man. Yes, by the grace of God, I'm a helicopter pilot. Yes, by the grace of God, I'm also an instructor pilot. I have all the qualifications as the case may be and what. But at the end of the day, if I'm not able to make impact, if I'm not able to add value, then what good is it? What good is it? Yes, like what we're having this discussion, it's about authoring yourself into wealth. I've also come to understand that pursue excellence, money, success, anything at all, it will come. And one thing I've also realized in writing my book, and sometimes I want to shout it out to the whole world, is that if your passion is boiling egg, if what you are good at is boiling egg, continue to boil that egg. Because I've come to understand you never can tell when, where, or at what time the opportunity will come. Yesterday, I had a discussion with a friend, and she was telling me how she's passionate about making shea butter, making black soap, as the case maybe. She does it for her siblings, she does it for her sisters. And somebody came and told her, I was like, this is what you do. You're good at doing it. You're passionate about it. Why not sell it, make more products, and then like kind of place it in shops and then sell it, as the case maybe? She didn't even think about it. So for me, yes, I've discovered my calling. It has to do with writing. It has to do with making impact. For another person, it might be boiling egg. For another person, it might be to design. It might be painting. It might be cooking. Whatever it is, do what you enjoy doing. For me, sincerely speaking, since I published this book, before I published this book, I used to think, these business people, how they sit down, how they make money and everything. But to be honest with you, in fact, sometimes after launching my book, the way alert is to just enter my account, bing, 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 bing. Sometimes I've been asking myself, so this is what all these business people have been doing, and they've been enjoying, and they've been keeping the story to themselves. But most importantly, I think I have derived satisfaction and fulfillment from the feedback I have gotten. I've gotten people who have bought my book in India. I've gotten people from Austria. My book is available, yes, on Amazon. And then most importantly, what I did in the book is writing my own story, because I've come to understand that when we tell stories, it drives home the point. Stories actually enhances the impact we want to achieve in the lives of people around us. So it's not just about do's and don'ts. We have thousands and thousands of regulations from the scriptures in whatever religion you are, from the organizations we work in. But I think it is time for us to actually break these things down. If I'm talking about integrity, if I'm talking about professionalism, what do I mean? If I'm talking about when it comes to integrity, for somebody, integrity might be he's not stealing money. Another person, integrity might be he's not lying. Another person is integrity, but what do we want to achieve? What is the collective definition of integrity for all of us? We can only achieve that when we write our stories. We don't need to get big stories from anywhere. All of us, we are Nigerians. We have had our share of life in our families, as the case may be. That story that you think will not make impact, that story that you think, forget about it, it won't do anything. I am telling you, write it, write it, write it, write it. You never can tell how far it will go. You never can tell what it will do. Yes, I'm a military man. I am grateful to God for making me a military man. I thank God for being a helicopter pilot. I thank God for everything. But one thing I do effortlessly is right. It's not about the money, it's about the impact. But I tell you something, when you add value, all those other things you are looking for, they will naturally come, they will follow through. When you do something and then you have to push it down to people, it actually means that it is not adding value to the people. But when something is adding value effortlessly, people will locate you, people will find you, people will come and get whatever it is. They will pay whatever amount. The number of people that have bought this my book, one copy for 50,000, I have lost count. They will just come and just say, okay, 50,000. I have lost count, sincerely speaking. In fact, I think I have had, I'm almost sold out. I've had more people buying a copy of this book at 50,000 than people who have bought the book at normal price. But it's all because, it's not because of me. It's not because I'm doing something somebody has not done before. It's all about value. And I've also come to realize that if we want to remain relevant wherever we are, we must add value. So I think then one thing I have to say again, it's an easy read. One thing that has been consistent all across the board, everybody that has read it, is that it is an easy read. It is my story. I'm looking forward to writing more stories. And I encourage each and everyone listening to also write their own stories. It doesn't have to be fantastic. It doesn't have to be celebrated. Whoever will be impacted by it will be impacted by it. And then above all, that financial aspect that is disturbing you, it will come. You'll be surprised where it will come. It will come, it will surely come. So I think I've spoken plenty, and maybe I've gone beyond my boundaries. Emeka, back to you, sir.
Oh my God, that's quite a, how do we put it now? A bucket full, or that's amazing. I mean, so many of the questions I ever wanted to ask you, you have. I mean, I've gotten encompassed within all the things you wanted to share. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to be asking is, you have your experiences, your childhood, everything, all the things you're experiencing in life are finding expressions in one way or the other in the successes that you're getting in your life. And I'm very impressed and happy about the fact that you're even utilizing those experiences to better the lives of other people is quite impressive. So at this point, I just want you to give us advice. All right. I know you have sprinkled it, within the conversation we've had so far, but there are people who are like you, military officers too, people who are in different professions who have a collection of these experiences, but they are not utilizing them. They're not putting them into a format where other individuals, for example, a book where other individuals can tap into their own intelligences and experiences and to be able to make successes in their own lives. Speak to the souls and the hearts of these individuals based on how you have lived your life so far and putting the things that you know into this great book that you have written.
Yes. So I think immediately when I launched my book, one question that was consistent across like the military and a lot of other people was, I'm currently serving at the headquarters, and one question that people kept asking was, where did you get the time? Where did you get the time? How did you get the time to write this? And one thing that I say to them is, one, purpose. Two, sacrifice. And by that, I wrote an article on my LinkedIn page where I spoke about, I talked about Too Busy to Read, and then the first one is Diamonds. I titled the article Diamonds on my LinkedIn, is on my LinkedIn page, and I published, it's also published elsewhere. Now the issue is, the question I want to ask is, with all the experiences you have had, with all the understanding, the knowledge you have gained, how comfortable will you be? Maybe if you're starting your career, or if you're in mid-level your career, maybe you have 10 years, 20 years left for you in the service. How comfortable will you be to take all these experiences away without leaving it out for the future generation to get? Now the question is, a lot of us see it and we accuse whosoever we want to accuse without actually looking at ourselves. What have we done to better the system? Yes, some of us think that, oh, I'll wait when I head my management, or when I head my organization, when I head my department, I will do this, I will do that, I will do that. The truth is, to add value to your department, you don't have necessarily, by virtue of command, you do not have to be at the top. One thing you can do, yes, it's through, like what I've done, writing. But before that, you've had your experience, you're thinking, maybe if you belong to the class of people where you don't know how to go about it. Yes, the 11 years I kept writing my manuscript, I can tell you one thing, it wasn't easy. It took sacrifice, it took discipline. When I mean by sacrifice, there were days where I will walk from 8 a.m., perhaps get back home around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. I'll go to bed. I have to wake up in the middle of the night to write, spend 2-3 hours, go back to the office sometimes. And I'm almost like kind of lost because yes, Fola wants something, the publishers want me to do this, as the case may be, and all that. And I needed to meet that deadline. Also, not just in writing, even in sacrifice, publishing, finances, I had to sacrifice some conveniences. I had to sacrifice some things, some wants that I wanted to buy or wanted to get for myself or for my family in a bid to have this book published. So first of all is you have the experience. How do you go about it? I was with a friend yesterday who works with Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and he saw what I did and he called me and he was like, oh, how do I go about this and everything? And we shared, and I was like, yes, first of all, this is what you need to do. You need to identify why are you writing. You need to have your purpose. You need to be armed with purpose. You need to be armed with purpose as an individual. And why I'm emphasizing on purpose is because God created each and everybody for a purpose in this world. You are in your organization, the experience you are having, the position you are holding is for a reason. You need to find that God-given reason or purpose. That is one. When you have found that purpose, it doesn't end there. It is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. Now, that purpose, how do you implement? How do you bring it to reality? How do you let it go to impact people? It could be through writing. It could be through singing. It could be through maybe in a position whereby you can change policies, you can do a lot of things. But whatever it takes, do not hold back, because posterity, I won't say they won't forgive you for that because they may never know, but your conscience will always hold you to ransom. So I think it's all about you're armed with your purpose. It's all about discipline. It's all about sacrifice. When we're talking about discipline, sometimes it will cost you going to your sleep. It could cost you not going to parties. It could cost you not doing a lot of things. It could cost you even forfeiting some opportunities that you may think they are a distraction because you want to achieve this purpose. Then the other one is sacrifice. It's not easy. Help may not necessarily come. You will be discouraged. I know how many times I give my manuscript to the editors. They will stone it back to me. They will do so many things. They will say this one is not right. A lot. It's not palatable. But when you are armed with your purpose and you are armed with your why, that will sustain you through this journey. And I am telling you, at a point in time when I was publishing my book, immediately when we got to the issue of publishing and everything, Fola, whenever I had this question, I was like, Fola, see, let's just do this, let's just publish it. In fact, at the point when we published it, for me, it was like, it is done. Let's just give it to them. Let's just forget it. If to launch my book online, I had to be convinced, because for me, all I wanted was the impact. I just wanted to like let it go, let everybody just have it. Okay, give it to them. I was cajoled, I was threatened, I was everything that I must do a launch. I did an online launch just to mark the release of the book. But the feedback is people appreciating my going through those challenges. I see those feedback as people actually acknowledging all the mountains, all the curved roads I was able to scale through. So what we want as Nigerians, what we want as individuals is for our organizations to grow. Our organizations cannot grow just because the leader has changed policies. We all have our own parts to play. Your field, you have your experience, you have anything. Do not retire and go home with it. No matter how angry, no matter whatever you think about the organization, what do you want to give back to the society? Giving back to the society doesn't mean you have to bring money. It doesn't mean you have to train people. It means you need to add value. You must add value. So all those experiences in your office, even if you cannot write, if you're good at speaking, get mentees, be a mentor, be accessible to people. Share your story, not only your success story, your failures. Share your failures, share your challenges. When you look at the level of leadership, at the topmost part of leadership, these are leaders who have been consistent. These are leaders who have affected people. And we're talking about leaders who are at the top level. We're talking about people like Martin Luther. We're talking about Mahatma Gandhi. In the sporting world, we're talking about Muhammad Ali. In every facet, you see people that are like that. So my own advice is, why? I will not say, the question I would rather ask is, why do you want to retire and go back home with all the experiences you have had, with all the knowledge you have gained, with everything you've had? Why? Why? So I think identify your purpose, discipline, sacrifice. When you have purpose, it won't be about the money. It will definitely be about the impact. The sky is big enough to contain everybody. For me, my greatest desire is, as a result of my book and as a result of what discussion we're having today, let 10, 20, 30 people come out with their own stories and write. It doesn't have to be a book that is all lovely cover. The quality doesn't have to be top notch. Write what you can write and send it out there. The most important is the life that will be affected. It is the life that will be affected. We need to touch somebody. Sometimes it may be after we are gone out of this world, 100 years, 200 years to go. Or maybe later, somebody will pick up the book and be affected. When I coined the title of my book, The Flag Lieutenant, I realized that there is a similar book with a similar title. The only book that was written, a similar book that was written, it was published in 1923. That is about 100 years ago, almost 100 years ago, yes. But the book is on Amazon. I have not read it, yes, but the title got my attention. So my own issue is, it is easy for us to sit and criticize. It's easy for us to sit. If you have experience, if you have gained knowledge, if you have everything, and you have not let out, you have not given it back to the society, then I think, in my own opinion, you have no right to criticize. We all have our roles to play. We all have our roles to play. It's not about eye service. It's not about seen as a superstar. It's not about being in it to win. We shouldn't be in life to win. We should be in life to impact. I am in my organization. What do I want to leave behind? Yes, I am busy. Yes, I'm difficult. Yes, I'm this. Yes, I'm this. Yes, I'm this. See, we need to document. People say Black people don't read, or if you want to hide something, hide it in the pages of a black and white or paper, and as the case may be. But for me, writing my book, I think a lot of people read. I think the problem is that we do not document our experiences. People do not have anything to fall back to. You're a surgeon. You had your most challenging surgery. Write it down. You had a surgery whereby it was a mistake, it was a misdiagnosed something. Write it down. You are working in a hotel. You have seen a new technology. Write it down. What was your impression? What was your expression when you did it? Yes, you goofed. What is it? Let the world know. I mean, we owe it to posterity to tell them all these stories. We need to tell our stories. We need to take ownership of our stories. We need to arm ourselves with purpose. We need to arm ourselves with purpose. I think if we arm ourselves with purpose, discipline, sacrifice, impacts won't be a problem. In fact, the finances and then the wealth that will come will be the least of your problems, because they will come. People will see value and they will follow. You don't have to locate yourself in Abuja. You don't have to see. I have come to understand in this life, if you are in a jungle, as long as you are adding value, people will follow you there. So in your office, the question I will round up with, are you in your office just to collect salary? Are you in your office just because you want to occupy a top position and then retire and go to your village and then you're celebrated that, oh, this man was this man was this, driving a big car and everything? I mean, at the end of life, when it's all said and done, what are you going to look back and be proud of? So for me, I think the whole world is waiting for our manifestation. I think it's high time we write our stories. Don't worry yourself about criticism. Criticisms will come, but when they come, take them, learn. I've had criticisms about my book. My closest friend, when I wrote my book, he criticized my book. It pained me. I'll not lie to you. It pained me. But as it pained me, later on, I looked at it. I saw reason in what he said, and I used it to add value to my own self. And by the grace of God, my next book, I hope to implement all those his corrections. That is what life is all about. We cannot know it all. Let us write. Don't worry about people. Say write and send it out. People have asked me, oh, now that I've written this book, I'm not bothered about people who say. I said it's too late. I've already written. I've sent it there. Anybody is open. Criticize. Say anything. Come and meet me. If you ask me, fine. If you criticize, I will appreciate you. Because without criticism, I can never be a better version of myself. Criticize me. Let me also take a self-audit of myself, and then I will change for the better. We're not in competition with anybody. We're only in competition with ourselves. 2023 is coming. We're rounding up 2022. This time last year, where were you? How were you as a person? Level of your life, not finances, not talking about your living condition, but you as a person. It is 2022. How have you grown? 2023 is coming. How many people do you intend to reach out to? How many people do you tend to impact? Instead of having subordinates, discouraging them, telling them negative things, let us see the positives. For every negative, there must be a positive. For every challenge, there is an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. All right, so guys, I hope you guys have had an amazing time listening to our great author Madu Ibrahim on this show tonight. My final question would be: in the year 2023, what are your plans? What are you doing? What do you intend to do? Are there opportunities for collaboration or for investment into what you're doing? Let us in, particularly with respect to your book. Are you writing another book? Are you going to tour? Let's know what you are planning for 2023.
Yeah. Yes, 2023, I intend to start writing my second book. I already have the plan, high idea. I've jotted down some things, but I want to become more serious in 2023. I'm open to collaborations. I'm open to invitations. I'm open to anything at all, anything that will make me impact people. I'm ready to pour out myself for the sake of posterity, for the sake of humanity. I am all ready for that. And the issue of talk concerning my book, I haven't really considered that, but it's something that maybe I'll look into it. And then also in 2023, I also hope and I long for self-development. I'll also do some courses. I'll also take time to reflect. I'll also do, discover. Learning never stops. So I don't hope to stop anytime soon. I hope to mentor people. I hope to, in fact, I was opportune and I was so touched a few days ago. Somebody sent me a message on LinkedIn and the person was like, please, I would like you to be a mentor to me. And I was speechless. It touched me, really, really touched me. And on the other hand, I was like, oh, hey, can I do this and everything? But I think I hope to see a better version of myself in 2023. And I look forward to reading stories from every other person too, so I can also learn.
Thank you so much. It's been an amazing conversation with you, sir. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. This has been quite amazing. The last of
Thank
it
you, sir.
in the year 2022, and I'm glad that we had this conversation. Thank you and thank you and
thank you,
you
sir.
again. You are doing
thank you, sir.
amazing thoughts, your journey, inspiring us to lead profitably in the different professions that we have. We are all engaged in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you,
to
sir.
everyone who tuned in. It's been an amazing time so far on this journey. finally has come to an end. Thank you to Warital. Thank you for producing these amazing authors. Thank you for the publishing company that you are doing amazing to help Africans who are authoring books to become quite very known. And as you know, their intention is to make sure that Africans who are publishing books become wealthy.
Yeah.
And they are living up to that billing. Thank you, Warital. Thank you, sir. And thank you
you,
to
sir.
all the individuals, all the great authors that I have hosted during this entire summit. We look forward to doing it again next year. We look forward to as many individuals who have listened to us to start to pen down their books and to become published authors in 2022, 23, and beyond. God bless you. From me to everyone, good night and happy Christmas and happy New Year in advance. God bless
Thank you,
us.
sir. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you.